Let's talk about the Major Arcana. Hello everyone, I'm Neil Kelso. This is
Andrea Aste.
We're the creators of the Lilliput Tarot, and today
We are here to talk about the Major Arcana, card by card.
we're going to teach you the essence of the meaning for each one. So let's dive straight in with the Fool.
So, fresh start. So, the Fool is about beginning a new journey, honest transparency, because you have the Fool is a card that have this core of an idea. You have this goal to follow, to pursue. Then here is carefree idealist, because the Fool is a person that don't care about the reality of the situation and goes straight following his journey.
It's also someone who really cares about being different. It's about maybe standing out from the crowd and being quite unique, and maybe even a little bit irrational.
Yes, because the Fool is always someone that don't care about what the other thinks and so is damned like an irrational one.
Yeah, so that's the essence of the Fool, the beginning of the journey in the Major Arcana. The next card is the Magician. The Magician is someone who's skillful and resourceful. You can see the resources on the table in front of the Magician, and this is about skillful use of them. And it's someone who has a vision and a will to accomplish it. So it's those beginnings of those ideas.
And then there is a confidence or tricks, because the magician can be the one that is a good magician, so he has really the knowledge and the power, but he can be a trickster, so pay attention. And then there is conjure, and yes, because the magician has the ability to conjure a reality in this plane of existence.
It's all about manifesting things. So the Magician is really about manifesting success. So that's why the Magician is really step one here in the Major Arcana. Next, we're going to move on to card number 2.
The High Priestess. And this is a deep, silent wisdom. It is the voice of a knowledge, a wisdom and secret knowledge that she is ready to present to you.
It's about the future being a little bit mysterious. We're never sure whether we have all of the information or whether some of that knowledge is hidden, whether it's secret. It can also feel like quite a cold card because it seems like such a logical way to be sitting.
But it's a stoic card too, so it's a person that knows the reality, is judge reality for what it is, without letting it get astray.
I do love that connection to Stoicism with this card. So yeah, there's the essence of the High Priestess. Up next, we have the card number 3, which is the Empress.
Blossoming fruitfulness is seductive. The Empress is like Mother Nature blossoming for you. It's the moment of the explosion of colors and life.
Yeah, it's a very sensual card. It's about that kind of inner confidence that we can embrace when we really connect to our inner Empress, whatever that might mean for us.
And is a maternal nurturer. She's taking care of the situation of you, and she is like a big mama ready to solve your problems.
Yeah, think about that nurturing energy with this card. And that contrasts beautifully with the next card that we're going to look at. Card number 4 is
the Emperor.
The Emperor is all about this. It's a similar energy, but it's different because this one's more about being reassuring and seeking stability. So sometimes this can be that kind of stubbornness that comes with a regal ruler.
It's like stern power or paternal protection. So it's like a very rigid person, a very rigid situation of power, and everything is very well ordered and corner is there defined.
Yeah, I love the idea of stability with this card because number 4 for me, I always think of it being quite square. Somebody who thinks about the rules and maybe does enjoy that order and those rules, literally ruling over things. So let's look at the next card.
It's mystical, the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is the spiritual tradition, so is the bringer of a new light in your life, and hope it can be even a dark side, like deferent servitude. So is when you bow your head to a power without thinking about it, without reflecting if it is right or not. So is fate. Fate can be a good thing, or it can be a bad thing if you don't use it well.
And this Hierophant can also represent transcendence, because in a way this figure is someone who is a gateway between this world and whatever we define to be divine. So that which is above, this Hierophant, can be kind of the conduit for that. And so it's therefore also a little bit about a harmonious connection between those two places.
And then order is a religious order, but it order like everything is in its place.
The power of those traditions. Let's look now at card number 6, the Lovers.
Oh, the Lovers is the opposite and the attraction. Opposite, I mean, if you think about love, love is the meeting of two entities to create a unicorn. And so love is like the law of attraction. The Lovers is there attracted. And so it is a card of celebration of love, fraternity, friendship, love in many ways. You won't understand it.
And I love the fact that this is about commitment. So we could imagine that this might be a card that's talking about marriage or those bonds of love between two or more people. So that connection is a very powerful thing here with the Lovers. And it's not necessarily just romantic love that we're referring to. It could be family love. It could be business friends. It can be all of those very human connections.
Yes, it's follow your heart, whatever your heart is bringing you.
Very much so. Card number 7.
The Chariot.
The Chariot. It's a card that's all about victory. It's a very victorious card. It's a triumphant card. And so when you're thinking about this card in the context of a reading, it's got that energy of riding along with a chariot and trying to balance those two horses that might be pulling in different directions sometimes, to find that balance and that dynamism.
Yes, and then there is the idea of a direct action. The Chariot is leading you to a clear decision, a clear action. So it's a decisive card, it's a dynamic card. But it can even means a challenging journey, because, I mean, a victorious fight, before you have the victory, you have to have the fight. So you have to challenge your reality and be victorious in it.
Up next, we have the Strength card, which is card number 8. Here we can see this figure interacting with the lion. So we have really strong metaphors of nobility, of heart, everything like courage that we connect with the idea of strength. And through the metaphor of that lion, lots of our stories culturally that involve lions and humans interacting, the story is very much one of moral fortitude.
Yes, we have to think strength, not just a physical strength, but a moral strength. And so is to be courageous, to be dare to do what we have to do. So to be a hero. This is the hero of the story. And we can even think about an instinctive leadership, because if you're a hero, if you dare to put your hands in the mouth of a lion, well, people will follow you. You are the hero.
Yeah, leaders who lead in that instinctive way have that connection. And that's very important in this card, that it's one of a kind of involved leadership and connection. So that's our Strength card.
The Hermit.
The Hermit's fascinating. Card
Absolutely.
number 9. It's got this idea of kind of seeking things, going on a spiritual quest. We can see the figure here carrying the lantern and walking with a stick on this sort of path, like seeking out something fruitful, seeking out things that will manifest at a later point.
Some people are scared about the hermit because they see a solitude, a lonely path. And I think, yes, there is an element of solitude and loneliness in the hermit, but there are paths that you have to walk alone. It's the search for something that is deep in you, something that is personal. So, of course, is a personal and in a certain way solitary path. But it's not a dark path, because it's an enlightened one, enlightened by the light of wisdom. The hermit has a lantern in his hands.
Up next is card number 10, which is the Wheel, or sometimes called the Wheel of Fortune or Fortuna. This really talks about karmic cycles, about things going around and coming around, things having these loops and history repeating itself in some ways. So you can think about impermanence, about the fact that the world keeps turning and that change is the only constant.
But even as a capricious destiny, you never know what the destiny has in store for you. You can be king one day and destitute another day. So is fortuna is the karma going around. So spin with the wheel and carpe diem, seize the day.
And this too shall pass. It's a time of when things are low, they can become high again, and vice versa. So it's a warning, but also an invitation.
Justice.
Card number 11.
I like it, with the swords and the scale. So it's a fair balance. Is inflexibility, because something that is just in the way it is. There is no way of arguing. So it can be a little bit inflexible, a little bit of perfectionism too.
Because it's about imposing those rules and working out where you will define justice, where you draw the line and where you set boundaries, and knowing when to be stubborn about those boundaries and when that it's fairer to flex them slightly. So there's a big moral dilemma here for us all to work out how we can integrate morality into decisions that can be really quite binary and harsh, and how can we find ways of being impartial and fair in the choices that we make.
The Hanged Man.
The Hanged Man, card number 12. Also sometimes referred to as the Hanging Man. This is somebody who's suspended. They're in limbo. They're kind of in this liminal space. There's this idea of pause, this time away from things, and things being suspended, whether it's the person or whether it's the situation that the person's in.
Is a limbo moment, but the limbo can be even the moment of gestation, the moment you are preparing to born, to bring your idea, to change your life. So in the moment when you are preparing for something is a moment of self-sacrifice too, because you are waiting for that and you are building little by little. But it can be even a card that suggests you to have an inverted perspective on your reality. So change the perspective and look at the world upside down. Maybe you will find something completely different.
Number 13, Death. This is a card that sometimes alarms people because in society we have such strong connections with death, and it's sometimes a taboo subject. So let's dive into this card a little bit more, because death can mean literal death, but it can mean so much more. It can mean this idea of crossing over, of transitioning from one existence into another, which isn't necessarily a life ending, it could just be a chapter ending. So there is this loss and the letting go of what's happened before, but it could also be the ending of an illusion. It could be a happy death.
What the caterpillar called the end of the world, the rest of the world called butterfly. So this is that moment, is an ending, but is an ending that is necessary for a new cycle to start. And so is the lose your illusion and jump into a new reality. I mean, trapass from one state to another and see what the destiny brings to you.
Temperance, card number 14. Temperance is about finding moderation and knowing what moderation means for you and for your life, which might mean frugality. It might be about the resources that you're using and how you can use them in a very frugal and balanced and moderated way. We also have this vision of this mixing that's happening. We can see that there's maybe the idea of good chemistry, of mixing things and flavors and people, and that bringing out that chemistry in a place or an environment or a situation.
Is even a card that mean healing, taking care of a situation of yourself with moderation. Is the slow time, is a card that say go slow, moderate, think. Even the actions that this card suggests are actions that are moderate in nature. They are not impulsive, they are not overthought, they are just there where they have to be moderate.
Card number 15 is the Devil. It's a very iconic imagery and very iconic concept, and another very powerful card. It can mean our unconscious desires. It can mean those impulses that we have, which are not necessarily present in our conscious mind, but which bubble up from our subconscious or unconscious mind. And so there is an element of darkness to it, because it can be those passions that have a darker side or which come from the shadows.
And this is connected with the other meaning of the cards, the taboo. Something that you would like to do, or is there like a wish, a desire, a strong desire, like a lust for something, but it's a taboo, you cannot do it. And so it can be the other step is breaking the chain, be free. So these cards can be a suggestion to dare to be what you want to be, break the chain, do.
Yeah. Challenge the rules, be the rule breaker, and act perhaps in some of those ways that are more connected to ambition and temptation. So it's an interesting card to explore.
The Tower is collapsing, falling apart.
It's another shocking image, isn't it? Card number 16.
Yes, it's the sudden event of disruption. It can be a calamity, but not in a disgraceful or destructive way. It's something that changes your world in a sudden way, like a lightning strike. But this can be a good thing too.
Yeah, and it can seem as though it's come out of nowhere. So this can be a card that is talking about this enormous burst of energy that seems to come from nowhere. Whether it's the lightning strike that's come from the sky, or whether it's some inner passion that you suddenly unleash that you don't know where it comes from. And it talks also about the consequence of that sudden action. So here we see it shattering reality in a very powerful way, but this is a card that talks about metaphors as well. So look at those realities that might be being shattered by these sudden strikes.
And then we have the Star. And the Star is one of my favorite cards. We have the idea of inspiration, guiding stars. So the star is there to guide your path, to enlighten your night, to show you the way. And it can be even a fertile dreams. It's the card of the dreamers, of the poets, of the artists. The star is there. It's a good star. It's fortune.
And the star itself can represent a muse, this idea of muses and inspiration, and generosity that comes with it. This free-flowing ideas. The ideas can be shared very freely. This is a card that's got very high hopes, and it's very positive about the way that ideas can be shared, and maybe even the way that wishes can be granted. Let's go to the moon.
The mysterious moon. The moon is an artistic reflection. The moon is the other cards of, let's say, of the night, of the inspiration. And this is more about the poetry and the mystery of the night, even in its mischievous aspect. And it's something that is connected to the ebb and flow of our mood, of nature too. So it's a very moody card, it's a lunatic card.
Yeah.
And I love the aspect.
Yeah, if you think about the lunar cycles, the way that the moon through approximately a month, it goes through its cycles of going full to new and back again. We have this journey which is cyclical, so that ebb and flow can also be emotional. It can talk about our emotions that ebb and flow, but it also connects very much to that watery, deep subconscious energy of those mysterious things that can bubble up from the unknown.
And we are in bright sun of the day with the sun.
Card number 19, the sun!
This is, let's say, at the opposite of the moon. This is the radiant joy, generosity. Here everything is clear. You see everything. There is no mystery in the sun. Everything is about giving. Generosity is, you see, there are two people embracing, celebrating life. It's a card of true friends, very similar to the love. But here we have this idea of bright generosity, giving away for the joy of celebrating life.
And think about that energy that the sun gives us all. It warms us up, it gives us enthusiasm, it helps us see a long way, it helps nature to grow, it helps trees to grow. But there is a little bit of a warning that comes with it, because too much of that energy can burn us. We can get burnt out from too much of this card. So it's a very positive, warm influence, but make sure that you have just the right amount. Not too much, not too little. Judgment. Card number 20.
And this is more like an awakening, an enlightened awakening, a purification. This is the moment when God recall the dead and bring them to life again, to a new life, the perfect life. So speaking out of metaphor, this is the card of the rebirth, the card when it announces that you are ready to start a new phase of your life, or a new journey, or a new adventure.
Think of it as like a call to transcend. It's a call to adventure, and it's something that's heralding in the new chapter. So think about this as a way of concluding the things that have gone before, finding that renewal through a purification process, and looking towards what that next step is. This is us leveling up.
And this is the world, the last card and the last journey, the last step on the journey of the fall. And this is the world. It is the card that goes beyond boundaries. This is again another ecstatic celebration, but this is the ecstatic celebration of the totality. What was starting with the fall have here is complexion, is completion, is complete here, is a whole. So everything is mended, everything is in its status, is was supposed to be.
And everything also falling into place, this idea of everything really integrating. So finding connections and things really connecting in a very deep way, and that can be very fulfilling. So this is also a card of fulfillment, of accomplishment, and it can also be about looking at the big picture. So it could be about the big picture suddenly falling into place, or it could be you finally getting a glimpse of what things are all about.
The revelation of everything.
And that brings us all the way through the major arcana of the tarot. We hope that you've enjoyed learning the essence of these cards.
It was just pills of wisdom, little pills.
Yes, there's a whole lifetime's worth of study could go into every single one of these cards and more. And in fact, we do have more resources that we'd love to share with you, which you can find on Patreon. We're also creating lots more videos, so stay tuned to our different channels. We'll put up a little slide that shows where you can see us. But thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to know what you think about the Major Arcana. Send us some comments, share, like, subscribe, do all the good things. All the best with your tarot journey, and thanks for joining us.
And your adventure in the tarot begins, or continue, or good adventure.
Bye!
Bye!